Imagine sailing into the unknown only to hear a song so captivating it could lead you to your doom. A young fisherman dares to resist the ancient call of the Sirens, but can he escape the allure of their deadly beauty? Discover a myth where desire battles with destiny, and not everything is as it seems. For centuries, the myth of the Sirens has haunted the imaginations of sailors and storytellers alike. These mysterious creatures were said to dwell on remote islands or rocky shores, their enchanting voices able to lure even the most seasoned seafarers into treacherous waters. The legends surrounding them were filled with warnings of beauty that concealed danger, and of desires that could lead to ruin. But despite these tales, there were always those who sought the Sirens, tempted by the promise of something beyond the mundane world. Our story begins in a small port town on the coast of ancient Greece. Lysander, a young fisherman known for his courage and curiosity, spent his days navigating the open sea, casting his nets in search of fish. The ocean was his second home, and he had always prided himself on his ability to read the waves, to sense the changing moods of the water. But there was one thing that he had never encountered: the Sirens, whose legend he had heard many times from the old sailors who frequented the local tavern. One clear morning, Lysander set out as usual, the sun glimmering on the calm waves. His boat cut through the water effortlessly, and for a while, everything seemed perfect. The sea was still, and the horizon stretched endlessly before him. But as the day wore on, something changed. A faint, melodic sound began to drift across the water, just barely audible above the gentle lapping of the waves. At first, Lysander thought it was the wind, playing tricks on his ears. But the sound grew louder, and soon it was unmistakable, a song, hauntingly beautiful, unlike anything he had ever heard. Lysander felt a strange pull, as if the melody itself was drawing him toward it. He knew, in the back of his mind, the stories of the Sirens, how they lured sailors to their deaths with their voices, crashing ships against rocks hidden beneath the water. But the allure of the music was overpowering. It spoke to something deep within him, a longing for adventure, for something beyond the ordinary life he had always known. The song seemed to promise a world of mystery and wonder, a place where dreams came true. Unable to resist, Lysander adjusted the sails of his boat, steering toward the source of the melody. As he neared a cluster of jagged rocks jutting out from the sea, the song grew clearer, more distinct. And then, he saw them, the Sirens. Perched on the rocks, their figures were half hidden by the sea mist, but there was no mistaking their beauty. They had the faces of women, radiant and ethereal, their golden hair cascading down their backs like streams of sunlight. Their lower bodies, however, shimmered with scales, as if they were part of the ocean itself. The Sirens' voices blended together in perfect harmony, their song weaving through the air like a spell. It was intoxicating, filling Lysander's mind with visions of endless possibilities, distant lands, hidden treasures, forbidden loves. He could feel the pull of the song deep within him, urging him to come closer, to abandon his boat and join them on the rocks. His hands tightened on the oars, but his heart raced with excitement and fear. He had never felt anything like this before. But amid the enchantment, a warning echoed in Lysander's mind, the stories of those who had followed the Sirens' call and never returned. The old men in the tavern spoke of ships wrecked on unseen reefs, their crews lost to the deep. For all their beauty, the Sirens were dangerous. Their song, as captivating as it was, led only to destruction. Lysander hesitated, torn between the intoxicating allure of the Sirens and the instinct to survive. The air was thick with the magic of their song, and it seemed that every fiber of his being was drawn toward them. But somewhere in the back of his mind, a small voice reminded him of his family, his friends, and the life he would leave behind if he gave in to the Sirens' call. He closed his eyes, trying to block out the sound, but the melody was everywhere, seeping into his thoughts, filling him with longing. The Sirens sang of love, of glory, of secrets only the sea could offer. Every word was a promise of something greater, something worth risking everything for. Suddenly, the boat rocked violently as a wave slammed against its side. Lysander snapped out of his trance, realizing how dangerously close he had come to the rocks. The sea, once calm, had begun to churn, the waves growing larger and more menacing. The siren song was no longer sweet and gentle, it had become a wild, frantic melody, urging him to come closer before it was too late. The rocks loomed ahead, sharp and unforgiving. Desperation surged through Lysander. He had to escape, but the sirens' music had wrapped itself around him like a net. He could feel the pull of their voices, stronger than any current, dragging him toward the rocks. His heart pounded in his chest as he fought to regain control of the boat, but every movement seemed to bring him closer to danger. In a moment of clarity, Lysander remembered the old tales of how some sailors had survived encounters with sirens. The stories varied, but they all shared one common thread: the power of music. Some sailors had played their own instruments, drowning out the siren's song, while others had sung loudly to themselves, refusing to let the siren's voices dominate their minds. Lysander's hand reached for the lute that lay at the bottom of his boat, a gift from his grandmother. He had not played it in years, but now it felt like his only chance. With trembling fingers, he strummed a few notes, his voice shaky at first as he began to sing. The sound was weak compared to the siren's powerful chorus, but as he continued, the melody began to take shape, weaving through the air like a thread of hope. The sirens faltered, their song wavering as Lysander's music filled the space between them. He sang louder, his voice growing stronger with each note. The tension in the air shifted, and for the first time, Lysander felt the pull of the sirens weaken. He played with all his heart, pouring his fear, his hope, and his determination into the music. Slowly, the boat began to drift away from the rocks, the current carrying him back toward the open sea. The sirens watched in silence as Lysander sailed away, their voices fading into the distance. For a moment, they seemed almost human, sad, lonely, and bound to the sea by a curse they could not escape. Lysander did not look back, but their song lingered in his mind, a reminder of the danger that desire could bring. As the shore came into view, Lysander breathed a sigh of relief. He had survived the sirens' call, but he knew that their legend would live on, a warning to all who ventured too close to the edge of the unknown. The sea, with all its beauty and mystery, would always hold secrets too dangerous to uncover. As Lysander sailed away, the echo of the siren's song still lingered in his mind like a distant dream. The enchanting melody, though weakened by his own music, had left an indelible mark on his soul. Even now, safe from the rocks and the deadly allure of the sirens, he couldn't entirely shake the haunting beauty of their voices. Their promises of adventure and love, though false, stirred something deep within him, a longing for something greater than the life he had always known. For days after his encounter, Lysander found himself lost in thought. He had always heard the stories of the sirens from a distance, treating them as nothing more than myths. But now, having faced them and resisted their pull, he understood the deeper truth behind those legends. The sirens were not merely monsters who preyed on sailors, they were creatures trapped in their own cycle of longing and despair, bound to the sea by forces beyond their control. The more Lysander reflected on the encounter, the more he realized how close he had come to losing himself. The siren's song had spoken to his deepest desires, drawing him into a dangerous world of illusion. But even as he recognized the danger, he couldn't help but feel sympathy for the sirens themselves. Their voices were filled with sorrow and pain, as if they too were searching for something they could never attain. Unable to forget their song, Lysander began to wonder what it would be like to live as they did, forever tied to the sea, forever longing for something just out of reach. He thought of how easily he could have fallen under their spell, and how many others before him had not been as fortunate. The sirens, he realized, were as much victims as they were temptresses. Driven by this newfound understanding, Lysander returned to the sea. But this time, he wasn't seeking the siren's song, he was searching for answers. He wanted to know what had caused them to become the creatures they were. What curse had turned them into the embodiment of desire and destruction? His curiosity led him to speak with the elders of his village, to search for ancient texts that told of the origins of these mysterious beings. Through his research, Lysander discovered an old legend, one that explained the tragic fate of the sirens. Long ago, before they became the mythological creatures of the sea, the sirens were once mortal women. They had been singers of great renown, their voices so beautiful that they could move even the gods to tears. But their talent had come at a terrible price. Jealous of their beauty and the attention they received, a vengeful goddess cursed them, binding them to the sea and turning their gift of song into a weapon of destruction. The sirens had once sung of hope and love, but now their voices carried only despair, luring men to their deaths in the same way they had been lured into their cursed existence. Unable to escape their fate, the sirens were doomed to live out their lives in isolation, their only solace the fleeting moments of control they had over those who heard their song. Armed with this knowledge, Lysander returned to the sea one final time, not to confront the sirens, but to offer them a gift. He played his lute, weaving a new melody into the wind, a song of forgiveness, of understanding. It wasn't enough to break the curse, but it was a gesture, a recognition of their pain. As the notes drifted across the water, Lysander felt the weight of the siren's sorrow lift, if only for a moment. The sirens listened in silence, their voices quieted for the first time in centuries. Though they were bound to the sea, their song no longer held the same power over Lysander. He had learned the true cost of desire, and in doing so, had freed himself from its grip. As the sun set over the horizon, Lysander sailed home, the siren song now a distant memory, a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the depths of the unknown, and the price that must sometimes be paid for chasing what cannot be. As we leave behind the haunting melody of the sirens, let this story remind us that desire, though tempting, can often lead us down dangerous paths. But like Lysander, we have the power to resist, to seek understanding, and to transform our longings into something meaningful. Let this be your inspiration to chase your dreams, wisely and with courage. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment below. Let us know what inspires you most, and stay tuned for more captivating stories.